Hello guys, let's come to discuss centralized versus decentralized system architecture. Centralized systems, as the name shows, centralized, in which the server will be in centered and all the clients will be around the centralized server. So centralized systems are systems that use client-server architecture where one or more clients nodes are directly connected to central server. This is the most commonly used type of system in many organizations where client sends a request to company server and receive that response. So we can put our data or system into the central server where server will provide the server services to the clients. So we can increase the number of clients and all the clients will have the same right to access the centralized server. So this is a example, generic example. We have centralized server which provide the services to the attached clients. Wiki example. So Wikipedia, what we do in Wikipedia, we write something and on client side we request for something, we search for something, and then the request from the client side is sent to the centralized server and it is then retrieved. Suppose we enter the search term junk food in a Wikipedia search bar. So this search term is sent as a request to the Wikipedia server, mostly located in USA, which then respond back with the article based on relevance. In this situation, we are the client node, Wikipedia server are the central server. So we have one centralized server and we are the clients. So characteristics of centralized system include one single central unit. So there is a one central unit. So remember that in distributed, if we apply the centralized architecture on distributed, so on server side we can have many subsystems that are attached together in case where scalability is the issue and a number of clients are increasing. But for user that will be a one system, so we can apply the centralized system to the distributed, but there are certain problems which will be discussed soon. Dependent failure of the component. So central node failure cause the entire system to fail, and this is the big problem. This makes sense because when the server is down, no other entity is there to send, receive, response request. So this means all the clients or all the users depend wholly and solely on the centralized unit or centralized server. Scaling, if we scale, so only vertical scaling on the central server is possible. Horizontal scaling will contradict the single central unit characteristic of this system of this central entity. This means that laterally when we start the decentralized, where we instead of go to the vertical, we expand the system in horizontal and peer-to-peer links are created. But unlike decentralized, in centralized architecture we do the vertical scaling such that clients the number of clients increases and the number of servers can be added, but in vertical position. Vertical position means the subsystems, the subservers are added, but they are acting as a one subsystem there. No independent systems like the decentralized. So components of centralized system include a node. Node can be a mobile, computer, a server, and communication link like cable and Wi-Fi. So we need a strong communication link, strong network. Architecture of centralized system, client server. We can call the centralized system as a client server architecture. So the client server architecture basically show the centralized architecture, and the central node that serve the other node in the system is the server node, and all the other nodes are the client nodes. So limitations. Now we discussed the limitation of centralized system. So it cannot scale up cannot scale up vertically after certain limit. So remember, there is a certain limitation after a limit. When if we increase the hardware and software capabilities of the server node, the performance will not increase appreciably, leading to the cost benefit ratio which is less than 1. So this means that the scaling is up to certain limit, so it depend on the operating system also. So this means we cannot increase the number of server in vertical position, vertical way as like we want. Bottlenecks can appear when a traffic spikes, as the server can only have a finite number of open ports to which can listen to connection from the client. So when a high traffic occurs, like a shopping sale, server can increasing can essentially suffer a denial of service attack or distributed denial of server. So this can be the problem, but there are some advantage which are necessary for you to know. Easy to physically secure. It is easy to secure and service the server and client nodes by virtue of their location. Smooth and elegant personal experience. A client has a dedicated system which he uses, and the company has a similar system which can be modified to suit customer needs. So we just need a computer, and we just need a networking facility. So later, and then the company provide the server facility. So this is the advantage, that no headache on the client side. Dedicated resources, as much we want we can dedicate a memory, CPU cores, etc. Quick updates are possible, only one machine to update. So this means that we have to update only one system on the server side, and this is the advantage. Easy detachment of node from the system. Just remove the connection of the client node from the server, and just you will be able to detach it. So there is no complex physical configuration included. So you have to cut off the connection in easier way. Centralized control. In centralized system, the central authority has complete control over the system, which can lead to a better coordination and decision making. So the decision making is easier, as we have only centralized server that is taking the decision. Easier to manage. Management is easy, as there is only one central node to manage. It is easier to maintain and manage the system. Lower latency. The time response time is less, so that's why latency is lower, and lower latency show the higher performance. So centralized system can provide lower latency compared to distributed systems, as there is no delay in communication between different nodes. So if we talk about the distributed system, so mostly it will be decentralized uh, rather than centralized. So as compared to distributed system and decentralized system, so centralized system can provide lower latency, higher performance, simpler implementation. Centralized system are easier to implement, as they require less complex algorithm and protocols. But disadvantage are there. So highly dependent on network connectivity. So if there is less network signals, so there will be a problem to approach the centralized server. No graceful degradation of the system, abrupt failure of the entire system. So this means there is no degradation, but rather if server failed, the complete network, complete system, either there is a one client or 1 million clients, all will be down. Less possibility of data backup. If server node fails and there is no backup, you lose the data straight away. Difficult server maintenance. So there is only one server node, and due to availability reason, it is inefficient and unprofessional to take server down for maintenance. So maintenance become difficult. So if you lay down the server for maintenance, it can take hour, but it can exceed to the days. So this means all the clients will be difficult to approach. So this means availability is the problem. So updates have to be done on the fly, which is difficult and system could break. Lack of transparency, centralized system, lack of transparency as central authority has complete control over the system, which can lead to issues like censorship and bias. Security risk, centralized system are more vulnerable to security risk as the central authority has complete access to all the data. Limit scalability. Centralized systems have limited scalability as the central node can only handle a limited number of clients at a time. So, if we increase the number of clients, so this means we will do the vertical scaling and we'll add more server as a subsystem to centralized unit. But it is, as already discussed, already stated that it is up to certain limited. So this means scalability is a problem. Application include software application development. Very easy to set up a centralized server and send client request. If the organization want to purchase their own servers, they easily do, but they pay for the services to for particular company, and then they provide the dedicated server. So modern technology these days do come with a difficult test server which can be launched with a couple of commands. For example, Express server, Django server. Analysis, easy to do data analysis when all the data is in one place and available for the analysis. Personal computing, so this is the application. So this was all about the centralized architecture. So mostly we follow the decentralized and distributed, but uh, when but on centralized unit level we can apply it to the distributed system if we do the vertical scaling and add more sub units, so that it can be scalable for the more users. But there are certain limitations.